Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever noticed how some local restaurants open up and immediately have a line wrapped around the block, while others on the exact same street sit completely empty for weeks? Well, local marketing is notoriously difficult to get right. But today we're going to do something highly practical to solve that mystery. We're tearing down a real data-driven media blueprint for launching a restaurant on a seriously tight budget. If you've ever wondered exactly how brands make a massive splash in a specific neighborhood without wasting a single rupee, you are in the exact right place. Let's get right into it. All right, here's a quick look at our agenda for today. First, launching in a crowded market. Then, we'll pinpoint the target audience, break down the hyper-local media mix, look at the expected outcomes, and finally, bring the whole campaign to life. Now, before we really dive into the weeds, I have to share something incredibly cool about the blueprint we're using today. This entire media plan was generated by the Ant10 AI media planning tool by the Media Ant. It takes basic inputs like your budget, geography, and how long you want the campaign to run, and just instantly builds a comprehensive multi-channel strategy. We're literally looking at the output of a specialized AI designed to optimize every single marketing rupee. It completely takes the guesswork out of the equation. Okay, part one, launching in a crowded market. Let's set our constraints and objectives. Imagine a brand new casual dining spot in Indiranagar, Bangalore. If you know the area, you know it's a buzzing, vibrant food and beverage corridor. It's a hyper-competitive, experience-driven zone where you're fighting for the exact same young social audience alongside heavy hitters like Social, Buy Group Booski, and just dozens of fast-growing cloud kitchens. When there are that many great options on a single street, standing out and getting discovered locally becomes absolutely critical. You can't just unlock the doors and hope people wander in. You have to actively pull them away from their usual spots. To win here, we've got some tight constraints. Actually, scratch that. Very tight constraints. The AI tool was given a budget of exactly 1 lakh rupees. That's it. We have a rapid 30-day window, and the geography is 100% locked to the Indiranagar locality. And the core objective? We aren't doing broad brand building here. We need immediate local awareness, actual physical footfall, and those all-important first-time trials. We need people eating the food, and we only have 1 month and 1 lakh to make it happen. Moving right along to Section 2, Target Audience. Let's define the ideal diner. It's seriously fascinating how the Ant10 AI tool maps out the baseline. In Bangalore as a whole, there's a reachable audience of about 70.8 lakh people across all income segments, aged 20 to 39. But obviously, targeting everyone is a recipe for disaster on a hyper-local budget. So the system carved this massive pool into 4 distinct, highly actionable demographic segments, so we can focus our limited funds where they actually matter. Breaking down the numbers, working professionals make up the biggest slice at 35%. Makes total sense for a busy urban hub, right? Then we've got an even split between couples and students, both at 25%. And finally, there's a smaller but highly influential 15% dedicated entirely to food explorers. By slicing the audience up this way, we start to see exactly who holds the dining power in this specific neighborhood. But honestly, demographic labels only get us so far. The real gold is in the psychographics, their actual behaviors. Working professionals, for instance, just want easy after-work dinners or convenient team lunches. Couples? They're hunting for memorable date nights and casual celebration spots. Students are highly social, but they're definitely budget-conscious and driven by pure influence. And those food explorers? They are actively seeking out new spots and, most importantly, sharing their experiences online. When you've only got 1 lakh, capturing that 15% is vital because they essentially act as free marketing. They bring their entire networks through the door with them. Which brings us to Section 3, the hyperlocal media mix. How are we actually allocating that 1 lakh? The AI's recommendation isn't just a random guess. A whopping 90% goes straight into digital channels for broad local reach, while a highly targeted 10% is carved out for proximity out-of-home advertising, like billboards. This allocation is incredibly deliberate. It's designed to give you broad, top-of-mind awareness digitally, combined with that critical last-mile nudge out in the real world. There's this amazing synergy between these two channels. Digital platforms using video and display ads build up that awareness at scale. They provide repeated exposure throughout the week, but then the proximity out-of-home steps in to close the loop right at the moment of intent. Think of a strategically placed sign near a local transit hub or a busy office complex. It's the final real-world trigger that turns a digital scroll into a physical walk-in. So out of our 1 lakh, that breaks down to exactly 90,000 rupees for geo-targeted social and display ads. These digital ads are going to zero in on the specific pin codes of Indiranagar, targeting users aged 20 to 39 who love food and dining out. And the remaining 10,000 rupees? That's strictly reserved for local signage near apartments, co-working spaces, and transit points to catch people right when they're deciding where to grab lunch or dinner. All right, on to Section 4, Expected Outcomes and KPIs. How do we actually measure success here? Remember that giant ocean of people we talked about earlier? That massive baseline pool of 70.8 lakh potential diners across the wider Bangalore area? Well, by applying strict geofencing and interest filters, this highly targeted 1 lakh rupee spend is projected to achieve a combined reach of over 1.5 lakh unique individuals over the 30 days. Think about that. That is 150,000 distinct people learning about this brand new restaurant. And here is where the absolute magic happens. Reaching someone once, that barely moves the needle. But incredibly, this media mix is estimated to hit those 1.5 lakh individuals with an average frequency of 2.66 exposures. They see it on Instagram, then maybe they catch a display ad, and then boom, they walk past a local billboard. It repeatedly reminds them to come try the food, turning passive curiosity into active intent. Finally, Section 5, Bringing the Campaign to Life. Let's look at the execution timeline. To actually get this off the ground, there are 4 key things the restaurant owner needs to hand over right away. First, creative assets. We're talking high-quality logos and drool-worthy food photos, the kind that literally stop you from scrolling. Second, a killer launch offer or hook, maybe a complimentary dessert or a 1+1 deal to anchor the ads. Third, access to their Meta and Google accounts for the precise geo-targeting setup. And fourth, they have to physically approve the exact hyperlocal billboard locations to make sure they're hitting the best transit points. Once all that is greenlit, the 30-day clock starts ticking. The first week is entirely dedicated to setup and sign-offs. By day 8, the campaign goes live, and it stays always on. That just means the ads don't sleep, they run continuously. Interestingly, the plan pushes higher digital spend in week 1 to create a massive splash, a real launch burst, and then settles into a steady frequency. You do a mid-campaign check at day 20, leading right into the final report at day 30. And that brings us to the end of our teardown. Based on this incredibly precise, data-driven blueprint generated by the Ant10 AI media planning tool by the Media Ant, you can really see how being super strategic maximizes a limited budget. So I'll leave you with this. Armed with a framework like this, how would you spend 100,000 rupees for a local launch in your own neighborhood? Think about your target audience, your digital reach, and those critical last-mile touchpoints. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep planning, and we'll see you next time.